Okay. Yeah, let's wait a couple minutes until
Okay.
people trickle in. Hey, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining here. We're here with David. But yeah, let's give a couple minutes because people trickle
Oh,
in right now. Yeah. All right. Um, yeah. So, where is everyone calling from today? For me, I'm based in LA, Los Angeles. We have Auckland, New Zealand. Davis in Korea right now. We
yeah.
have Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah, people from everywhere. I wonder what the weather is where you guys are at.
NYC, India,
We have India, New York City.
Auckland. Auckland's so beautiful.
Yeah, Oakland.
Huh.
Great. Yeah, LA weather has been pretty interesting. It's been like raining um, a lot. So, I think the rain in general is good for California because it's been really, really dry. But like if it's raining too hard in such a short amount of time, then it becomes a little problematic. But it's been becoming more and more extreme these days.
Uh,
Yeah. All
and
right. So go ahead.
I was just gonna post on LinkedIn this link. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Ask people to come in right now.
Uh,
Yeah. We had yeah, like more people in food registered on Luma, so hopefully people will show up as we go on. That didn't register on Luma. Um, That's a good question. I don't know. If somebody knows, please comment on the comment section. So the question is, can somebody just share the Riverside link and then people can come directly here? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Just by clicking on this link, people can come. All right. So let's get started here. I know people are still coming, but yeah, again, thank you so much for your time. I know you're traveling and things are kind of in transit. So thanks for being here. Thanks for your time. For those people who may not be as familiar with you, can you do a quick intro about yourself, maybe?
yeah. Yeah. My name's David Yi. I'm the VC who hates most VCs, and that's like not just a line. I really mean it, right? And that the word most is important because most doesn't mean all, right? There are very many VCs that I actually adore, love, and respect. Um, I have a sordid background. Korean American, born and raised in Los Angeles, but I've always been in the liminal space, bridging different people, bridging my parents to the kind of the dominant American society, bridging Korea and my dominant American side of me. Now I'm just bridging investors and founders, Asia and America, the sacred and secular. I do a lot of bridging, so I call myself a bridge builder and bridge maker. That's who I am. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And yeah, tell us more about your move. I mean, you moved to Vietnam. So what
Yeah.
happened, and how has it been? So yeah.
Yeah, Vietnam's an exciting place. So, to understand the reason, a lot of people are trying to get into America. Why are you leaving America? It's not, I mean, actually, maybe a lot of people are trying to leave America too, right? But for me, it had to do less with politics or less with like livelihood. It was very missional. So right after college, I spent a lot of time, a significant amount of time in China because China at the time was super poor. This is like 2001. China was like very, very poor. This is not the China we know today. And but in that amount of time, I saw China just because I was there before the 2008 Olympics. And what the story there is that there was a period in Chinese economic development where foreigners got very, very wealthy, made a huge impact on society. It wasn't as closed off. And but I was too young, poor, and stupid to take advantage of anything. Um, uh, Fast forward. doing my entrepreneurial thing, selling companies, buying companies. I had the pleasure of leading the head of Asia role at some of these education companies in the United States, and that got me access to many countries in Asia, including Vietnam. And I think it was 2011, 2012 when I first saw Vietnam, and it reminded me of China. It was just very similar. And then I thought
Mhm.
at that point, I will one day come back here and I want to time the timing correctly, and I'm not going to be so young and stupid anymore. It was the thinking. And so, fast forward, when I had the opportunity after I got married, my wife and I convinced her, hey, it's a good idea to live abroad. We formed the Ethos Fund, early stage venture capital fund, with the intention of investing in Vietnam and USA. And so it's just, you know how it is, right, guys? You have an idea, you make it into a reality, and you go, right?
Mhm.
And that's how I ended up in Vietnam. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people say Vietnam is the next, China or next Korea, and I remember like visiting Vietnam for the first time. Like, I it kind of reminded me of like Korea in like 90s, the
yeah,
energy, right? Because like one example was I still remember when I was young when I went to airports in Korea, like like whenever somebody comes from outside of Korea, and there's huge like family members, and there's always like a crowd gathered. At the airport to kind of meet and greet someone. I mean, these days, like Korea, I would say it's not exactly the same. But when I went to Vietnam, the airport had like huge crowd, and it's like a family members, trying to welcome people who came back to Vietnam or something like that. So yeah, that was really interesting. Kind of reminded me of like Korea in the past.
yep, yep.
Okay, so yeah, let's start talking about the content creation, which is the main topic for today.
Mm,
So for
mm,
people who just dialed in, yeah, the main topic for today will be content creation, LinkedIn post, thought leadership, kind of like establishing personal branding. So that's going to be today's topic. And we're going to cap this for at around like 30 to 35, 40 minutes. So if
mm.
you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comment section. We'll try to get to that those questions later on. So let's talk about your LinkedIn journey.
Yeah,
So what happened? I mean, did you just like wake up one day and then start like wanting to start posting more on LinkedIn? Why did you start posting more on LinkedIn?
yeah. Great question. I never had to actually explain this to anybody. This is my first time. This is the first time everyone's, because I feel like I'm still growing on LinkedIn. Um, for the longest time, I first signed up for LinkedIn after law school, I think, law school, business school. And then like, it just kind of cruised, right? I was at like 2,000 connections or followers for the longest time for years. Didn't care, use LinkedIn casually as a, what do they say, an interloper, right? I'm just there looking at other people's posts, occasionally commenting, occasionally posting things when I have a new job or when I have an update in my life. We use it the same way I'd use any other social media platform. And then when the move to Vietnam happened, that was about 4 years ago, right? I got to Vietnam and I realized that Vietnam skipped the telephone and TV. They went right to the smartphone. And I realized, unlike China, US social media was big in Vietnam. And it took me about a year to figure it out, like which social media platform I wanted to be more intentional about. Was it Facebook? Was it Instagram? TikTok? I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And because I'm entering the market, a new market, Vietnam, as a brand new nobody, I thought LinkedIn was the best. It was a professional platform, and Vietnam had quite a bit of growing usage. Unlike any other social media platform where, I'm competing with like teenagers who are dancing or like, right? Or like videos about puppies and cats. I thought this was a little more professional. And it had my audience. It had founders, it had professionals, it had, the PhDs, the business people. So it was very intentional that I should focus on this social media platform, even for Vietnam. And because we're a US Vietnam fund, it just made sense. LinkedIn did. So I think it was around November of 2023. Um, I just thought, you know what? I should do this. And I think the best advice I got This is a YouTube content creator, by the way. His name's Jay. He's like, hey, David, the best thing you could do for any content creation is don't try to go viral. Just post every day. Just go. Just post. So I was like, okay, what do I post about? Well, let's see. And I just started posting. And now it was hard initially because I don't know what to post about. I kept running out of ideas to talk about. But then, you know, like all things, it's like muscle, right? You get stronger. And eventually I found my voice. That took a while because I started posting about everything. I started copying other people too, like as in copying not their content, but their style. So at one spot, I even tried to copy Ryan Reynolds, guys. I was like trying to be the sexy guy. Didn't work. Um, but I found my voice in being that guy. The I realized that I'm an Asian guy with an Asian face, right? So that's the signal. And by the way, ethnicity is very marginal. I realized that on LinkedIn. But at the time, I thought it was important. So I thought, what would be good is I remember during my test prep days, calling myself sensei worked, right? Because I don't know, they were like, oh yeah, he's a master. And so I kind of went with that vibe. I thought, hey, I'm going to talk to founders as though I'm a master who cares. So that's where the Dear Founders series started. I started saying, Dear Founders, here, and I honestly started sharing my thoughts about the founder journey, what we look for. And as a serial entrepreneur, I thought I could have some valuable things to say that the Vietnamese audience can benefit from. But to my surprise, India picked it up like crazy, which was great. I think India has the second most LinkedIn users, and then the US picked it up. Vietnam definitely. Fast forward about 2 years. That's when I went from 2,000 to 3,000 followers trickling. Within 2 years, I got to about 40,000. Again, that was followers. And I think it's just getting started. It gets exponential, by the way. I think by next year we'll have at least 100K followers. But then I look around and through this journey, I met so many amazing people. You meet not only founders, but other content creators. And there's really a content creator community out there. And there are people with like million followers, like 700K, 500K, 200K, and I feel like a nobody compared to them. But even so, this journey has been very rewarding. And that's how it started because you saw a problem. I'm a nobody in Vietnam, and I thought the only way I can crack in is by creating content. And now I think last year, March, I was the number one LinkedIn content creator in Vietnam, right? Everyone in
Congrats.
Vietnam knew me as the guy on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Congrats. Congrats. So there's a lot to unpack there. Like I kind of picked up like three or four different things. So let's kind of double click on each. So you mentioned writing every single day. By the way,
Yeah.
are you still writing every single day a post?
So now I'm writing everything on the weekend and pre-posting. So I automate the post so that it goes up on a certain time, like 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. It just goes up automatically.
Mm.
Yeah. Many
Okay, okay.
tools out there
There's like
that
a.
do that. Yeah.
You think there's like a specific time you want to schedule it? Like you mentioned, 8:30 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eastern. Is that like a good
Yeah.
time?
So the best time, look, this is like talking to other content creators and me myself, like having experimented A/B tests like crazy. Um, Morning time when people get to work, and then around 2, 3 o'clock afternoon, mid-afternoon, is the best time for that time zone you're targeting,
Mhm.
right? So, and I purposely timed East Coast because then I want to, it used to be Vietnam time, but then now I have four time zones. So Vietnam and East Coast is exactly 12 hours apart. So I'm thinking 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 2 a.m., 2 p.m. That just
Mhm.
goes my contents. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you also mentioned like Dear Founder series.
Yeah.
So, would you recommend, hey, kind of like, find the format that works for you? So, for you, it was like Dear Founders, and then kind of like repeat the same or similar format. Is that like a good strategy?
Okay. So here's what I would recommend. You'll see that I stopped doing the Dear Founder format. I only use it occasionally, and there's a reason. Um, the most important thing, if you're thinking about, I don't know, the number of eyeballs, is the hook, the first two lines, two, three lines. And to use Dear Founders as like 30% of that property just didn't make sense, right? Because, that's why I stopped. So I think there's a like you know how in a founder stage there's 0 to 1, 1 to 100, like 100 to 1,000. Depending on when you are in your kind of LinkedIn journey, I would do it differently. So to answer your question about do I use a regular format? Yes, if it makes your writing habit easier. Because if you can get over your writer's block, you should do that, right? But what's most important is just to write and experiment until you hit the same chord between you and the audience. And until you find that, to stick with one strategy makes no sense, I think, because you might be barking up the wrong tree for a long time, right? So I would highly recommend check out all the other content creators that you like on LinkedIn who are effective in your based on your metrics and follow their strategy, follow what they do, see what they're doing, and do it your own flair way. Find your swagger and post, right? And then when you find something that will go viral, and that's when it hit for me. That what there that one viral post I won't forget. Suddenly there were like 5,000 people like looking at it. Was a post when I criticized Y Combinator. People just
Mm,
went at it. So I thought, okay,
yeah.
this is pretty good, I guess. And then that's when I thought I found my audience, right? Oh, these
Mm,
are founders who really want it raw. They love it when I'm very raw about my honest feelings. I shouldn't hide behind political
mm,
correctness. And then I started doing the Dear Founder series. So my advice is don't stick to a structure until you find your audience market
mm,
fit or your ideal audience profile. IAP.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've always thought like IAP would be in-app purchase, but
Yeah.
it can be many different things. But I think that's a good tip. So research, do some research around people that you want to kind of bottle after, and then see what they do, and then kind of study what they do. And you don't have to like exactly copy paste their style, but at least like do some research and learn from them. I think that's a really good tip. Um, so when you are posting every single day, how did you come up with the topics? Because I mean, at some point you run out of topics. So how did you
Yeah.
like always come up with new topics?
Okay. So you know what? What's really important is to understand how the human mind works there. I think we have these moments of creative just flow, right? And that flow doesn't happen 24 hours a day. I knew that my flows happen in the morning when not during the weekdays and before my kids wake up, right? So what I ended up doing is I have like a Notion page where I'm just ideating for like 20 to 30 minutes Saturday morning with my like cup of tea. Seriously, I just all the different things and I don't filter. Somewhere in there, like I talk about how, like seriously, in there it has something like, why are Asian men sexier than like, the guy over there? Like, and I was like, I'm never gonna write about that, but I just say it. I just put like all the different topics, and I just log it away, and then the next day, now I do this. I literally pre-write all the posts, right? And Sundays are good because that's my Sabbath. I don't do anything but just relax. So I'm sitting there just writing on these different topics. Um, but I really think that you need to separate the idea from writing. Those just
Mm,
don't happen to me. They're very different parts of the brain. When you're trying to be creative versus when you're actually executing your thoughts and really thinking about how to structure things, very, very different. So in my opinion, I don't know if other content creators do this, but I think it's the most effective way to do it. Yeah.
mm, mm. Yeah, that's really great. Let me go to some of the audience questions first, and then kind of come back to my questions. So here's a question for you. When you post on LinkedIn, what outcome matters the most to you?
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, the comments matter most to me. I don't care about the likes and everything. I really care about the comments. And I used to care about the likes and loves and applause, the reactions, right? Um, that was when I think I cared a lot more about the reactions and follower count when I was around, I think like 10,000. But after a while, I realized, hey, this isn't about followers. This is about growing my community. Like, I want a captive community. Because at the end of the day, guys, um, even if you're building your content and creating your audience for the wrong reasons, it's a good exercise. Eventually, I think everyone gets to a point, just as like, fatherhood and, the life of an entrepreneur, we always get to that point of maturation. My point of maturation with content creation was ultimately I'm doing this for a community that I'm building. And the comment section is like an X-ray into the soul of your community, right? What they say there, how they say things tells you. And there will always be some haters. It comes up. And I remember the first hater that posted, I stressed out about it. I'm like, oh my gosh. It kept me up. To a point where this one guy, he posted something really nasty, calling me like, yeah, you don't know anything about founders, blah, blah, blah. I literally flew to Indonesia to debate with him. And it all
Oh,
ended up well. We podcasted it, right? But that was an
really?
expensive way to like settle this issue, right?
Turning enemy into friend
Friend.
moment.
Yeah, no, but it was and now we're really good friends. But my point is that the comment section interactions is where the hidden alpha is for finding not only the voice of your community, but also to build true relationships. It's little light things, but and that's also how I found like some of the promote promising deals actually for my founders too. Is it's not through the DMs, not through like no, it's actually the comment section. That's where the kind of the true conversations actually happen. Yeah.
I see, I see. So comment section, and then you also mentioned like the community with other creators too, right? So
Yeah.
the comment section is your own community, but what
Yeah.
about like your relationship or community with other creators? How does that happen?
Okay, so there's in my head there's three ways. There's the organic, there's more intentional kind of a I would almost call a guild. There are those things out there. And what I call also um like there are societies like Hubble, that are actually trying to use LinkedIn to do things. So these three ways I've connected. The first way was the most organic. The thing about this first way is on the comment section, you start seeing um, some people with amazing amount of followers just starting to comment, right? And I remember the first time I had somebody comment, and then they even reposted and repurposed my content, and that was an honor, right? And so I reached out to them like, hey, thank you. So should we jump on a call? That a relationship started forming.
Got
Because
it.
they start commenting on my comment section, I started commenting on their comment section, and we may not have met in person, but through these comments, because we're engaged in it so much, you can
Mm,
read a person's style and soul and personality, right? So that way we built, I mean, I built quite a bit of relationship through that. So through the different commenting of each other's posts and, laughing and being witty, we're joking around through each other's comment sections. I've built some good relationships. Um, but I would also say these guild things, I've actually never been part of. I've been asked to join a few. There's these content creators who reach out to you and they're like, hey, you want to like do this together, like each other's posts. You want to, kind of meet together regularly, throughout the week. I just, it's not that I'm against it, frankly. I think it's great. It's just I had no time, right? Because all the people who were doing that were in a different time zone. But I think it's a very clever and amazing way to learn. Remember, if you think about Mr. Beast, he grew his content channel by interacting with as many YouTubers as he can, right? So I think the guild approach is great. Um, Communities like Hubble, right? These are like businesses that run off of LinkedIn. Help me connect with so many content creators too, because that's what it's all about there, right? Experts on it. So yeah, that's how I did it. Build relationships through those.
So, question from Phil. There's two different questions. One is more about your profile. Why do you hate so many of the fellow VCs? The other question was, how do you think about ROI from social channels, and have you noticed any changes in LinkedIn's algorithm in 2026?
Oh, I've noticed change on the algorithm. So I'm going back. The VC who hates most VCs. I look. I'm the guy who thinks venture capital as a asset class is sinful, if that's the right word. I think a 10-year fund, which is no more venture capital class, does a disservice both to LPs and founders. I think that works super well with found like that works super well in Silicon Valley where you're looking for. deals like OpenAI, deals like Anthropic, deals like Google. Perfect asset class. But outside of that, it's terrible. And I think most venture capitalists don't realize that, or they're too lazy to think about that, right? We demand innovation from our founders, but venture capitalists themselves, we don't want to innovate. Are the most important asset class structure, right? So that's one. Two is that I mean that's like a major thing, right? But two is more minor, but it's a pet peeve I have is I think a lot of venture capitalists are entitled. I feel it. Even if they don't think they are, they are. And I'm even checking myself constantly because look, when so many people pitch at you and want to talk to you, you can't help but suddenly think you're something, right? Um, and that is kind of annoying, right? Big time. And then last but not least, guys, this is just again another pet peeve of mine. I think is I've been a founder for so long that I think venture capitalists we're supposed to be stewards of capital, right? We're a bridge again between LPs and founders. But when you actually talk to venture capitalists, I think the more important stakeholder in their minds is the LPs, right? And that's like there's something wrong about that too when, if you're truly a bridge and you consistently pander to one side more than the other. And I get it, the supply and demand, and of course I get it. I get the chicken and egg argument there too. But again, that goes back to my first point. Maybe something's wrong with the system. Again, I'm not saying burn it. It works. I'm just saying maybe we could and I love venture capital. I like Phil a lot, by the way. I dare say I love Phil. Like, I really respect Phil and what he's up to and what he's doing. I respect his firm. I respect what Phil's about. And I don't even mean that passingly. I really do. So, like, Phil is one of those venture capitalists I really respect, adore, and love. But there aren't many out there like that. I'll be honest. Yeah.
You mentioned LinkedIn algorithm change. What is there something that you noticed?
Yeah. So it's funny. It's not so much 2026 though. I don't think LinkedIn says, 2000, January 1st, 2026, we're going to change an algorithm, but they consistently test things. So there was a point in 2025, I remember around the summer, right after the summer, suddenly my post started not getting as many views. It was just weird. It just and then other people in the community started noticing it. It's like it's weird. And by the way, that glitch, as I would call it, got fixed. But what we're realizing is, yes, videos are getting a lot more views, a lot more. By posting videos, you are favored a lot more on LinkedIn. For a moment, carousels work, but I don't see them being more favorable anymore. Another thing I realized is what's changed is people started, I think, thinking within the first 30 minutes of posting, if a lot of reactions happen, it's going to be helpful. That was a thing. But I think LinkedIn caught on because that's not helping anymore either, you know?
Mm,
So
mm,
yeah, these are tiny changes. Um,
yeah.
I would like to go in deeper, but then that's the limit of my knowledge about what I notice is changing. Um, and then Phil's
Hmm.
other question, how do you think about ROI for social channels? Um, I think it's high for me personally. I don't know about for firms, but for me personally, like I got some great deals out of it from founders. I've even met LPs. So from a venture capitalist point of view, the ROI is great. And personally in my life, it's made me a better person, right? It's like my way of having a journal, a daily journal.
Mm,
And there's nothing more raw and real than having an audience out there who keeps you honest, right? And it's also opened up a whole new way of thinking about business for me. It really has. Now I'm really realizing distribution is very important. How many people can actually convert their community to a business? A lot of content creators are trying to do that, but they fail. And I couldn't empathize with that at all. But now I do. And I
mm,
know when I talk to these other content creators, when I see people who do that magically, now I'm trying to figure out how to do that better so I can help my founders do that. You know what I mean? So there's a game to it, and the ROI is there for those reasons. Like I'm understanding better so I can help other people. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, so Gen Z, here's a question. Curious if you have any thoughts on how young Gen Z content creators should position themselves onto LinkedIn. So yeah, like a lot of Gen Z, obviously like TikTok and other platforms, but they're all also in on LinkedIn. So
Hmm.
yeah, do you have any like tips for specifically for Gen Z, like young people? Hey, if you want to grow on LinkedIn, you should do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, I think what's crazy is, guys, especially if you're Gen Z, um, you have to be real. I think that don't try to be professional. One mistake I see a lot of Gen Zs make is it's the same thing I used to do on LinkedIn is I post about like the amazing accomplishments I had or like, my new job. Or I try to sound smart. None of that is, nobody wants to read that. Nobody cares. If you think about as a Gen Z, if you think that the vast majority of LinkedIn is boomers and older people, there's a reason why like the TV show The Wonder Years was a hit, right? So, hey, if you're Gen Z, just be real. You'll see this. Like, reflect on yourself and what you're going through, the pains, being lost. That's okay. Or your struggles, or hey, losing a job or finding a job. Put it, document it. Why? You're going to get a bunch of people there who see themselves in you or saw that in the past and react to it. And really, your authenticity is going to draw them to you more. And isn't that
Mhm.
what it's about, right? Is on LinkedIn, if you're thinking, hey, I've positioned myself, people think I'm going to be great, and then they're going to hire me. Look, if you want to get hired through LinkedIn, that's another thing that LinkedIn offers, right? But if you want to grow like who you are, your brand and your audience and your community, you got to be you, right? And you got to find that voice. And if you can do that as Gen Z, because as Gen Z, you're young. Yeah, you're young. Then write about that so that people can relate to you, have rapport with you, want to help you. And you're going to change, by the way. You're going to grow. And that journey, now they're invested in you. They feel like they're a part of you. It's kind of like, us taking interest in like any other, I guess, celebrity out there in some ways. I mean, what does Brad Pitt give me? But I don't care. I don't want, I want Brad Pitt's life. I want to know if he's divorced. I want to know who's he dating. Why? Because we're invested in his life, right? And that's what Gen Zs can do. Get people to invest in your life emotionally and authentically. And I think that's the best thing you could do on LinkedIn. I know it's a professional place, so don't do about your breakups and your dating. About your professional authenticity. Okay?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
a caveat. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So Kathy here is asking about posting publicly ever cost you a deal or relationship. So was there any kind of negative impact that came from publicly posting?
Honestly, no. Like I told you guys, right? Some people might say yes by looking at it, but in the long run, no. Because yes, there are people who like would say, "Oh, I'm gonna unfollow you. You said something about Donald Trump. Unfollow you. You said something about Joe Biden." I'm like, okay, you can't win. You know, whatever you post, people are gonna react to it. But in the long run, that's called filtering out the people who are not your community. They use the word tribe, right? Content creation and creating a community and creating your brand is a lot about not only discovering yourself, but having your tribe, your people identified and surrounding you. So, by posting publicly, it costs me, or it's helped me filter out the people that shouldn't be with me. And that's the thing. Don't try to get everybody to like you. By
Right,
that,
right.
nobody likes you. Got to be like
Mm,
very pointed. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, I know we're coming to the time here. I have like one last question for you, but before we go, I want to like invite Victor from Team Saywise to talk a little bit about Saywise. This will take probably 30 seconds. So yeah, Victor, why don't you come on and hey, Victor.
Hey,
Hey
Victor.
everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Well, this was fun. Yeah, it won't take a lot of your time, but yeah, the whole premise of Saywise, our product and the host of this conversation is to help people create content in an easier way. So instead of like staring at a blank screen or trying to come up with topics, Saywise, the platform, just like you just talk to an agent that we so carefully designed to seem as human and as natural as possible. And you have a conversation, and as a result, you get some posts that you can then use and post on social media. And we just, in celebration of this conversation, we launched a limited time offer. It's David 20 is the code
Oh, wow.
for
Let's see.
yeah, very exclusive. I'll post here. David 20, it's a lifetime 20% off and say wise plan. And right now our focus is from audio to post, but we're working hard to bring video as well and several other features.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the spiel, but it makes your life much easier in terms of
Yeah.
content creation. Yeah.
I'm gonna sign up. I really mean it. I'm gonna like. I was waiting. This is good. This drop is good.
Use your own code. All right. Thanks, Victor. So I have one
Yeah.
last question before we go. One last question would be, but before that, just came in. So what's a good way to, did you want to address that? A good way to get in
Oh,
touch with you, percentage of investment you do in US startups?
oh, I'll go. Okay, that's a side question, but a good way to get in touch with me is email David at
Yeah.
Ethos Fund. I'll just type it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
My final question is, if you have one practical tip for people who are like considering, oh, like, this year I want to post on LinkedIn more, and you already covered like, like a bunch of stuff about how you approach, but if there's one practical tip that you want everybody to try, what could that be? What might that be?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I look. You guys know I'm pretty raw. I'm just saying. I think Pennywise is magic. I really do. Whatever helps you get your thoughts out there consistently. Look, every day I realize is not important anymore. What I realize is consistency, right? So if you can do 3 times a week, or if you could do every Saturdays, whatever that consistency is important. And I think a lot of people feel like, wait, but what do I write about? And that flow state, if you can just record it on your phone and just get those ideas out, that's great. You don't have to
Mm,
wake up at 5 a.m. and, because it's like
mm,
working out and this is like PX90, right? Right here. Like, right? It's helping you. It's making it convenient. So the biggest tip is consistency and just get started, right?
mm.
And whatever helps you get that done, just embrace it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I've heard someone who said, like, hey, if you want to be like the biggest cat creator, then just talk about cat for the next 5 years every single day. So yeah,
Yeah.
you have to do that. And consistency wise, I think it might be a good idea to actually put something on your calendar. So just like a block of like calendar, it can be 15 minutes. But like, especially if you're like driven by calendar, that type of person, then I think it might be a good idea to put something on your calendar. It's like an appointment with yourself, right? So I think that can be a good thing as well to keep track of things. So yeah, this
Yeah.
has been really wonderful. Thank you so much again, David. I know you're in transit, you're traveling, so like thanks for popping in here. So this has been really great, and for people who dialed in, there will be recording available afterwards as well. So thanks for joining here today. So awesome, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
All
everybody.
right, thanks everyone.